Hey everybody, welcome back to the Outer Regions podcast. This is episode 42 of the show where we mostly talk about whatever, but mostly pop culture, movies, shows, games, like whatever else. Tate, we're back. It's been a while.
And my mic quality is awful. Yeah. Couple things to
Yeah.
touch on. Couple things to touch on. Um, First, the delay, why we haven't been on for a month. A lot of personal stuff going on with both myself and Ross. We just haven't had a time where we both felt. I don't know. We haven't had a time where we've both been available to film the podcast. So here we are. We're back again. Mic quality's so poor. My main microphone has broken. So
That's something that's been a recurring issue of our podcast. It's just like Tate and I both need mics.
we both need
And
mics, yeah.
yeah, we definitely need new mics. It will happen. We don't know when, but at some point, and it's going to be great. This podcast is going to be great. This episode is going to be great, even though it has been like a month. And one thing, though, that has not changed is my ass working on the Avengers Endgame project. And Tate, started out the year lining up everything that I wanted to work on for the first half of 2020. And things were going pretty well, but then suddenly it was the end of January. And I managed to finish Black Widow and Hawkeye, and then my iMac broke down. That's been a pretty big thing. I mean, right now I'm working on off my sister's MacBook. My main iMac screen, like the LCD, broke down again. It's happened before, but it's been like a year and a half since it happened the first couple times. And it's either that or the graphics card is shot again. So waiting for the opportunity to take it in to have it repaired. And in the meantime, I'm working on my sister's MacBook, and I was able to put together the whole next Endgame showcase on it, which was pretty exciting. I mean, it's a very different thing going from a 27-inch screen down to an 11-inch MacBook, where you're then spending a lot more time scrolling and expanding windows and minimizing windows. You know, it just kind of adds a different dynamic to the whole process, which I'd say probably slowed me down a good 20% than normal, but it still came together, and I'm happy to say that there is barely a difference in quality, if any at all, which I was very happy about, and it's coming together really well, man. I'm excited because, you know, Tate and I have discussed it many times just in the last few podcasts that we did before our little hiatus there. 2019 was not great for a lot of reasons personally. It was just not a great year at all. And so the Endgame project did not happen. Of course, I've been talking about it since this podcast began, and I'm just so excited to be seriously moving toward the end now. I mean, for real. I mean, like the second showcase is now done and in the books. All the content is out there. The figures are done, and I have Thor and Hulk's bodies right next to me on my desk, waiting and getting ready for painting. And right now I'm doing a couple of commissioned figures for a friend of mine, and that's for the Clone Wars coming back this week, Tate, which is pretty insane to say. Oh my god!
At the end, that is what we're closing the show with, because that's a big deal, man.
It is absolutely surreal. The final trailer for the entire series came out just before our quick hiatus, and it was incredible. I can't wait to talk about that. But yeah, the Endgame showcase continues. I know, of course, it has been almost a year now in a couple of months, which is completely insane. I mean, I look back at the trailers and the marketing material for Endgame as reference, and it's just crazy to me that it was a year ago. It's crazy to me that Infinity War was almost 2 years ago, because it's just these characters in the MCU are so important to me that it always kind of feels like something I never put down. And so that's wild to me that it's been a whole year already, but because it's something that I never really put down, it also means that it doesn't feel like a year to me. So it's not as big of a deal to me that a year has passed, because it's important to me to still finish this project, close out really that chapter of my life, considering my entire channel has been really built on the MCU, and closing that chapter the right way by completing these next four showcases the right way. And I think it's going to be really cool. Hulk and Thor are next, and then I have plans after that for a showcase featuring Rescue and then Captain Marvel, and then another one featuring Iron Patriot Mark II, Rocket Raccoon, and Nebula, all before the big final video that'll feature Thanos, and I can finally move on with my life. But I'm still very much in this. I'm only about a third of the way there, but that's okay because I love these characters, like I said. I think it's important now, coming off of a hiatus and really being, already a month and a half into 2020 now, to bring it up and mention it again for those of you guys who are still looking forward to it.
Yeah.
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 That's my contribution. Yeah.
Tate, you're excited for the Endgame showcase. It's been a...
Well, you see, I was when Endgame came out.
You know what?
I'm just playing, man.
I don't care. No, apologies for all of our earphones listeners. I made a pact with myself that I would no longer raise my voice on the show, but I don't think that's going to quite work out.
No, you guys.
However,
you guys were the yin and yang of YouTube podcast commentary, and I think it's going to remain that way.
42 episodes, Tate. Holy shit!
In 10, it'll be a year.
42. That's
year's
insane.
Worth of podcast. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's up?
Wowee.
Wowee. Wow wowza. Wow wabuzzy.
Do you guys want a year podcast special? I think we should do that. I think that'd be cool on the 52nd episode. We should just give away Ross's address and phone number. I think that would be a good giveaway.
Oh God. Oh God, that would be something. Man, we already have all kinds of visitors here, man. We've got bears, we've got raccoons. Rocket and his whole crew stopped by recently. One thing I have not been talking about on the YouTube channel, because last year when I reviewed the Captain Marvel Lego set for that film when it came out, we were overrun by ladybugs. You're not overrun. I'm overrun now.
Here we go.
But this is like, yeah. I had a few ladybugs in 2019, but just like the end of 2019 and all like these last couple months throughout the winter, man, I have just been overrun with ladybugs. I mean, just getting like anywhere from 2 to 10 on the worst day in my room a day, and it's like, man, it's one thing when they're just flying around and clicking with their wings on the window and my lights and then on the ceiling, but when they're in your bed or they're crawling on your face when you sleep, or you're on your phone about to fall asleep, and then like they just fly at you, it's like that's when they become a problem. So I literally have a baton with some tape on it, and then I stick the ladybugs onto it and then drop them in a jar and then let them out like the next day. And it's pretty crazy. We still don't know how they're getting in, somehow through my window. But it's been a war. It has been World War Ladybug in my house the last several months, and it I don't know. There's no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ross and I have opposite issues. I'm trying to get more bugs into my room. I have plants.
You're Tarzan, so
I have plants everywhere. I have lizards. If you guys watch the podcast, you know I have lizards. And I just like to have naturalistic ecosystem kind of. I like to be surrounded by that. So I have my enclosures, right, but I also have a bunch of plants in my room. And I released not released, but there were a few ladybugs that had come into my room, and I just kind of haven't complained about it. I have like maybe 10 or so ladybugs in my room.
Haven't complained about it. 10 or so, dude. Not everyone is like the male version of Poison Ivy. All right. I mean, these little guys just die everywhere after a while. And there were like 6 dead ones just next to my bed yesterday. It was like 5, and I was like, dude, I brought in the vacuum and sucked all their asses up. And it was very sad because, I mean, ladybugs are gentle little souls. And having them in a jar, I've been able to watch them and how they behave a little bit. And ladybugs clean themselves or do something with their arms and their heads like cats. I mean, they look like cats cleaning themselves sometimes in those jars. What they do, and it's really weird, but it's also kind of adorable. And I don't know how to feel about ladybugs, man. I mean, they're cool until they start flying around. So anyway, all of that aside, Tate, Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson's Batman looks so stupid. It literally, it looks like he has a tumor on his face, or like he's gonna go to Romeo and Juliet's masquerade ball. I don't know why they thought this was okay.
Listen,
This is
man, I
so
want to I
dumb.
want to preface this a little bit. We're not going to talk about this forever, but maybe we will. I don't care. The point is, man, I don't think anyone, like neither Tate or I, are doubting Robert Pattinson is going to make a great Batman and a great Bruce Wayne. I'll tell you one thing though, after seeing the suit, I'm definitely more excited for his Bruce Wayne now than I am his Batman. However, the suit, even though it's a year two suit for the character, it didn't do anything for me. I mean, of course, it's a cool tease. It's super dark with red lighting. What can you really take away from that other than he's got a boxy chest plate, he's got like a really techie looking bat symbol, and a cowl that, I'm sorry, man, quite frankly, just looks too small for his head and looks like Robert Pattinson's going to be having migraines on set. I mean, that just doesn't look comfortable. It looks really awkward. It doesn't really strike. It doesn't really seem like it's going to strike fear into the hearts of his
Can I just
enemies.
say something really quick?
Sure.
Every Batsuit we've had has in cinema, the rear jaw has been covered to kind of the chin and the frontal jaw area is the part that's exposed, right? That's in the Batfleck suit. That's in the Christian Bale suit. It gives the bat cowl a more concise shape. This just looks like he's wearing a ski mask and then like literally a masquerade mask over it.
And
If
of
you look at the
course, like the
stitch work, it
quick
just
rebuttal
looks
to this is that it's a year two costume. He's
no,
very
that's
early on in the Batman
bullcrap.
career. He's just starting out. It's like Daredevil. Like it's his first dude. Listen, that's fine. I don't care. Maybe it'll look better when we see it on set or on screen in the first
Dude,
teaser.
no, that is
Whatever. This is
such
one angle.
Christian Bale Batman was a year one Batman in Batman Begins. That's the whole
Right.
point of the goddamn movie. And he had a Kevlar helmet that looked sick.
Mm-hmm.
Or Plastoid,
Mm-hmm.
not Plastoid, geez, that's Star Wars.
Some
Um,
would argue that he can't. That it looks goofy and that he can't move his neck. I personally thought it looked incredible.
oh, no, dude, the Bale Batsuit looks great. It's always looked great.
Yep, even that first Batman Begins suit. But the point is, man, you're talking to someone, and I've talked about this on the show many times, who fully believed in the DCU, was fully behind everything that they were doing since day one, truly thought that following and sort of mirroring Marvel success, DC would be able to do something similar. Maybe not as perfect, maybe not as well thought out or as well structured, but that a DC cinematic universe was now going to exist, and they were bringing on the best actors they could find to fulfill these roles after Henry Cavill. I mean, casting Ben Affleck and then seeing his Batman. I mean, it was just 5 years of pure hype, anticipation, and just excitement for what Batman versus Superman and Justice League were going to look like by the time we got through all of this. And it all fell apart, of course, and Ben Affleck left. And it's not even about the fact that Ben Affleck left. I mean, of course, you'd want him to leave. It was not. It was if it was not what he wanted to do. Of course, that's not really the discussion that I want to have here briefly. But it's really just what has really saddened me the most is seeing the complete world-renowned embracing of this new Batman, and just everyone being fully okay with and just casting aside Ben Affleck's Batman. Like the whole thing was a mistake. Like the whole thing didn't matter. When, if you ask me, and Tate and I discussed it a little bit previously already, there are a few things to me about Ben Affleck's Batman that are almost undeniable. The Batsuit was phenomenal. The cowl was phenomenal. Ben Affleck looked incredible, and the physicality he achieved for Batman vs Superman was incredible. Say what you will about Batman and how dark and brooding and cynical he was and literally killing people. I don't think he should have been killing people either. But the Batsuit was phenomenal. Batmobile was phenomenal. The Batwing was incredible. Jeremy Irons' Alfred was incredible, as well as sort of sort of like an accessory role to Ben Affleck's Batman, and then also um, Hans Zimmer and the tracks that he composed for Ben Affleck's Batman, and there were just so many things, and so many things to me that felt so authentic about Affleck's Batman, making it feel real and grounded in a real DC cinematic universe. And I thought all the details really lined up well in what they were doing with Zack Snyder's vision. And then of course, to top it all off, Ben Affleck's performance in Batman versus Superman was just fantastic. I I mean, it was incredible.
It was
I
the
thought it
only
was
part of the
great.
movie, man.
I mean, say what you will about the material, what he was able to do with that material, it was great. I mean, some highlights, some standout moments for me are absolutely the conversation he has with Alfred, and then the monologue he gives to Superman before killing him or attempting to kill him. I mean, just outstanding. So to me, say what you will about the DCU, how it fell apart. You didn't like the films for whatever reason. Sure, they had their problems, but I don't think they're deserving of all the hate they've received. What's heartbreaking to me about this Pattinson reveal is that everyone is just casting all of the amazing things about Ben Affleck's Batman aside, as if the standard has not been set, as if the bar was never raised, and we can just start back at square one with a goofy looking Batman cowl, a story that may not even be that great. Who knows what the story is going to look like? I'm just not willing to come down from where we were with Ben Affleck's Batman. I think if you need to recast Batman and move forward with this new iteration of the character, abandoning the DCU, fine. But take the best parts of Ben Affleck's Batman. Make an incredible suit. Make an incredible Batmobile. Have an incredible composer work on it. I mean, so far, I wasn't too impressed with the tease that Michael Giacchino included in that initial video. We haven't seen enough, though, to make all these judgments. So I don't want to sound like I'm making all these judgments, but I also am just disappointed because I don't want to see all of the things that made Ben Affleck's Batman so amazing just be forgotten. Because if you take all those elements, all the good parts of Ben Affleck's Batman, and marry them with corrections and better concepts, abandon the killing, have Batman be a bit more principled and a bit closer to the Batman that we see Kevin Conroy portray in the animated series or Justice League or even the best iterations of the comics. That's to me how you get the best Batman, not by pretending like Ben Affleck's Batman didn't exist. Because what if they did that, Tate, and they pretended like the Nolan? What if Zack Snyder didn't take any inspiration from Nolan and pretended like those films didn't exist? That's just to me not the way forward. I don't agree that just fully abandoning and not even taking any inspiration or any good things from previous iterations to move forward is the right call, because then you're taking one step forward, two steps backwards needlessly. And that's really what I feel like could happen here with Pattinson's Batman, and especially in the future with a myriad of other things, if this is the mentality everyone is so quick to adopt.
Well, that prolonged pause means it's my turn to talk.
It is.
I don't take any of this that serious, man.
I know you
I
don't.
really don't. I watch the movies, I enjoy them. I'm more charged in the topics of
Yeah.
humanitarian ethics and whatnot. So I'm kind of here on the sidelines. I just make a Batman movie. If it's good, it's good. You don't have to be divisive. It can be simple, but if it's simple and good, then who's complaining? I want
Yeah,
them
and
to
I
do
mean,
something new. I want them to take inspiration. I want them to take keys from the past because that's what you should do. If you are continuing a character, it should evolve. We see that with Spider-Man so perfectly, that Spider-Man has evolved through the movies, through the mistakes, through the triumphs to create the epitome of Spider-Man and Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I mean, I'm a true believer that he's the best Spider-Man. But
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
dude.
I just really believe on building upon what came before,
That's
not
that's what I'm talking about. Evolving the character.
right. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's just what I'm not looking forward to is watching a film that takes none of those good elements forward. That would be really disappointing to me. Of course, you're not going to see Robert Pattinson's Batman reach Ben Affleck's, the point in the story that Ben Affleck's Batman was at for, a number of years before he's got all of this gear and the Batmobile and everything. They're probably not going to do Batman Begins where a lot of it happens in that first film. And that's fine. It's just, again, man, one step forward, two steps back, and I don't want to see that. Um, Yeah, because I mean, this whole thing really made me think back to the original reveal in 2014. Um, that black and white image that Zack Snyder posted of Ben Affleck in the suit, standing in front of the Batmobile in that way, and it shook the world, man. It shook the world, and I really just, instead of feeling excited and exhilarated and really um, blown away like I was back then, I just felt kind of deflated with this reveal. That being said,
And
to
I
close out,
just and I
yeah,
just don't care. Woohoo!
yeah.
He
So I
looks
mean,
goofy. He
to
looks
kind
goofy.
of
But if the
to
movie's
regurgitate
good,
this, because
if the
Tate and I
movie's
already
good,
talked about
the
this.
movie's good. It's goofy, but if the movie's good, the movie's good. Goofy, goofy, woo! I don't
The
care.
dude, the reason I care though, and
I
I
know.
already said a lot of this to Tate already, um, is because I mean my entire YouTube channel began with all of this, and really the five pillars of inspiration for me, really it's really four, um, have been the Clone Wars, and then so Star Wars, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DCU before it fell apart, and Halo
Oh.
very early on, and really those four things I value quite a bit,
Yeah.
and it's important to me that those stories are handled well. And so when the MCU grants great endings to the characters of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, that's important to me. Black Widow and it's done and closed. You can move on. And I think and the way they're wrapping up the Clone Wars now, this is how I want to see these things close out. And Halo coming out with Halo 6 at the end of the year. So the reason I say all this is because these are the things. These are the four major things that really have inspired all of my creativity, and that's why it's valuable to me. And so when I see all the great things that Ben Affleck's Batman brought, then just quite possibly abandoned with the next iteration instead of building upon it, yeah, I care, because it's disappointing and it's foreboding if that's the standard. And that's why I'm still looking forward to Robert Pattinson's Batman, but ultimately, like I've said on the show, I'm not going to get attached, because very much like Tate has said, um, focusing on things that truly do matter beyond just what studios are doing from one year to the next is obviously much more important. And that being said, though, especially if these are industries anyone like us are looking to enter or work within, um, you also don't want to say nothing. You don't want to be silent about these things if you care about them, if they inspire you, if it matters to you. And so I think, yeah, that's kind of my long-winded thoughts on Robert Pattinson's Batman reveal. We only get to do this, see a new Batman every few years. So I guess it's cool to just stop and talk about it for a minute, man.
Yep, I agree. We'll let's see where this goes. Let's see what we get out of this. Let's see what stories we get. Please don't bring in Joker for the first movie.
Yeah, no, I
Just
don't. I don't
don't.
think that's wise.
I just don't do Riddler. Don't do Joker. Do Scarecrow. That would be great.
Again,
I know they did that. Well, they did Scarecrow and Ra's, right? But
Batman Begins. Yeah,
I feel like Scarecrow's such a good beginning Batman antagonist because of the fact that Scarecrow he has that more that cognitive neurological disillusion within Bruce, right, which is very important for building his character. He hasn't built up his psyche to be able to handle
Yeah, because I mean, a
the
scarecrow is a direct link to a lot of the things that are fundamental for Batman: the
right,
fear,
the
the
fear,
symbols,
the
the
symbolism,
yeah,
the more heady parts of Batman,
right,
the things that are less tangible, because he's not just punching and kicking, and that's why Batman's one of my favorite characters, probably my favorite character.
right.
I mean, there's just so much they can do. I'm a huge Batman guy. I don't know if you guys remember, but I've talked about it. I've read DC Comics. I've read almost every single comic run. I've gotten my hands on stuff, through the generations, and I just
He's
absolutely adore
even
these
read
characters.
every program guide for every Comic Con.
I haven't done that, but I love Batman, and I just want to see him handled well. I want to, I want to be able to enjoy movies. But honestly, at the end of the day, I do not care. If Batman is
Yeah,
poor, then I'll just read a Batman comic book that's good. Kind of like how with Star Wars. Star Wars has been poor lately, so I've just been embracing the parts of Star Wars that I enjoy, specifically the old canon books, the Legends books. But
and yeah, I've been doing the same. It's been
anyway,
great.
let's move on to the results of the Lego Ideas poll.
Tate, I did not think the Republic gunship was going to win.
Uh, well, let's talk about why it shouldn't have won. So I have some images here. Let's just kind of go through this. So look at the UCS lineup. All right, so we have a mall head for prequels. We have the Grievous statue. We have the ATOT and the dropship.
Yep.
We have what else? The Naboo starfighter, and we have the Obi-Wan starfighter. Now, honestly, that's too many prequel era, too many prequel era sets here for the UCS line. Let's look at this image here. As you can see, we have 7 snowspeeders, right? We have 7 snowspeeders, but we still have a UCS one. I really think that we already have 3 gunships. Why do we need a UCS one? As you can see here, we have 2 UCS X-wings. We have 5 X-wings plus the couple more that have come out since this picture is taken. Shout out to Brixar. Um, but yeah, we have all of these X-wings, but I think 3 gunships is too many. Look at these
Way
Millennium
too many.
Falcons. Look, we have 2 UCS Millennium Falcons, and then we have all of these ones listed here, plus the one that just came out with Rise of Skywalker. But 3 gunships, I just, I can't get behind that. I can't get behind that. I really think that the Nebulon B should have won. I love medical frigates because one time I broke my arm and I got a cast, and that's freaking cool, man. The
And
medical care.
when you were recovering, laying in bed, you were looking up to the ceiling, just thinking about that ship
Yeah.
from
When I was
Empire Strikes Back
when I
that
was
looked
in
like a literal piece of shrapnel
no.
floating through space.
Ross, when I was in bed for 2 years because of knee problems and knee surgeries and whatnot, I looked up at my ceiling and I said, "Man, I wish I was in a Bacta tank on board of the Nebulon B frigate. Wow, that's all I want right now, guys." When I watched The Empire Strikes Back for the first time when I was a young boy, I just looked at the end scene and I was like, "Wow, my favorite part of the movie is when Luke is getting a new arm aboard the Nebulon B frigate," because I absolutely knew that that was a Nebulon B because context clues, duh.
Yeah, you were just a little kid, just in awe, looking at the screen, thinking, "Oh my God, the EF-76 Nebulon B escort frigate. What a gold mine of an idea. Make that into a UCS set." So this poll comes out. And you got the 3 options. And this is surprising because I don't think this has been done since 2006. Lego Ideas post this poll. We're going to make a UCS Lego Star Wars set. You pick what the next one's going to be. It's going to be, we have the options of the EF-76 Nebulon B escort frigate, the Republic gunship, and the TIE bomber. Now, who cares about the TIE bomber? I think that was a very small minority, believe it or not,
I,
even though
I,
you
I
thought,
really cared about it. I thought it was just gonna come out of nowhere and win the whole thing. I really had some faith in that. I'm kind of surprised, frankly, that it didn't just pull through out of
yeah,
nowhere. That would have been incredible.
I was
Imagine, dude. Oh my gosh.
I was really expecting there for some really I was really expecting for the quiet minorities to or the quiet majorities rather to win this whole poll, right? Um, because to me, when I saw that poll, I was like, oh, Republic gunship. I mean, no doubt that is the clear option. I mean, it is the superior design. I mean, it's bright, it's colorful, the features and the possibilities with a UCS scale Republic gunship is crazy.
It's
Now,
really not though,
right
but
out.
a UCS scaled Nebulon B. Now think about the possibilities. Now, it could come with a Nien Nub figure, my favorite character from Star Wars.
Nian
I absolutely love Nien Nub because he's from the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love him because he's from the original trilogy. And guys, we might actually get a new head mold. Because I don't care about fives or the clone troopers or anything that actually have storylines in their respective I guess piece of media. No, I care about Nien Nub because he was seated next to Lando aboard the Falcon. Therefore, he's a good character. Oh my god.
Listen. I want to before we get too far into this, I want to just straight up address all of the things that I saw levied against the Republic gunship, because of course I am more than willing to admit bias because I grew up with Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars, and the Republic gunship was the first big set that I was really looking forward to getting when I started out on YouTube at 9 years old, and it changed everything for me. I love that set. I've got it right in front of me right now. Got both my Clone Wars Republic gunships in front of me right now. But you had all these people coming in saying, like you said right off the bat, saying there have been too many Republic gunships. There have been 3. There have been like 15 X-wings, 6 or 7 snow speeder. That's crap. That is invalid. That is completely invalid to even bring up. And then you got all
That's
the
why I have all those slides, guys, because it's just completely irrational.
it's nonsense. It's nonsense. And then and then the next thing that I heard was if we get a Republic gunship in UCS scale this year or the next, it eliminates the possibility for a minifig scale one in the next couple years. And my immediate rebuttal to that is the track record has not been good for prequel era remake sets in recent years. This for me began with the 2014 MTT. It was terrible. There have been other examples. The 2016 Turbo Tank. It was a step down from the 2010 version that came out for the Clone Wars. It was smaller, more compact, minifigures better. No, they really weren't. I mean, you then had more examples like the ATAP and the Droid Gunship that came out in the last year that were way too similar to their 2014 designs, with only a few exterior changes made that really didn't amount to much and weren't very interesting. They didn't even change the minifigures, really. There were a couple new battles, some green prints, so those weren't great. There was even a couple more egregious examples, like the Republic fighter tank, which was terrible. It was awful. The little 28, I think it was 2017, 2018 it came out.
Whoa. It came with the Phase 2 realistic clones, okay? It's one of the only sets to have come out with Phase 2 realistic clones, and it came with an A-list Sakura figure.
The A-list Sakura was good. All the minifigs have improved.
Hey,
I'm not denying that.
Hey, listen to me, Ross. The build, phenomenal. I mean, for $20, you're getting a shitty battle pack sized TX tank.
Awful. Awful. I mean, when you compare it to the original 2009 variant, I understand they're trying to make it cheaper. Don't even bother doing that vehicle then. Do something else. I mean, then take a look at the AAT that also, I believe, came out in 2014 or 15 with the Phantom Menace. It was terrible.
No,
so what I'm saying is the track record has not been good.
The Turbo Tank, I feel, is the most egregious example.
Yeah.
The Turbo Tank's bad. And then the MTT is horrible. The 2014?
It was insulting. I mean, it was so bad. I genuinely could not came out back then. So all these people saying that a minifig scale Republic gunship is what we need, it's like, hold up. It may not be good. It likely, I mean, it feels like it's a 60 or 70% chance that it won't be as good. Because the 2013 Attack of the Clones Republic gunship, I still have it fully intact. There's really not much more you can do with a minifig scale Republic gunship after that model. Would I like to see it re-released with new minifigs and some updated tweaks here or there for the new generation of Lego Star Wars fans? Absolutely. But if you're asking me, the Lego Star Wars fan who's been in this since he was 8, who already has 3 minifig scale Republic gunships from my years doing this, then yeah, I personally would go for the UCS model, because this then brings us right into the next point. It would be bigger, it would not be to scale, and that's okay. This is something that I also thought was just so crazy to me, because it was so completely irrational to bring up as well. It wouldn't be to scale. It's like, hold on. What? You realize only a fraction of Lego Star Wars sets are to scale, right? It's like 20%. It's not. When has this ever been a concern, an issue, or a problem with models in Lego Star Wars? It is. Scale has always been out the window for Lego sets. It would certainly not be to scale if they made a UCS Nebulon B. Why is it not being to scale suddenly a concern just for the Republic gunship? Now, this then brings us right into the uncomfortable point that I think is just brash and just straight up, and me being blunt. It's original trilogy purism. That's exactly what this equates to. There hasn't been a New Republic gunship in 7 years, and all the arguments that were levied at it that I just, if in my opinion, deconstructed fairly easily, because a lot of it is irrational, as we just explained. At the end of the day, as much as I love the original trilogy, just rewatched it recently, of course, it's the original trilogy. This is original trilogy purism. That's what we saw with this poll. And I think it's a shame that that still exists, even with all the new love that has been found for the prequels and the creativity that George Lucas built them with, and those films with. And so I am so glad that people like Ryan, MNR, and myself, I made my own video, kind of satire, kind of promoting the idiocy behind voting for the Nebulon B, because our Republic gunship in UCS scale is going to be incredible, and I'm so excited for it. And to all these people who are saying, oh, well, it's not going to sell, you know, when was that ever brought up as an issue for Clone Wars sets? When has that ever been an issue for the UCS line? I mean, there have been original trilogy sets that also sold well either. I mean, look at the Cloud City. That was a failure. Lego pulled it quicker than they've ever pulled any other UCS set. Look at the Y-Wing or the Snowspeeder. Who really cared? It's just, I really looked for the valid arguments in favor of the Nebulon B being created as the next UCS Lego Star Wars set, but they just weren't there. The arguments just weren't good. It is ultimately original trilogy purism, and I think 36 UCS Lego Star Wars sets have been created, and I think having only 3 to 5 of those be from the prequels, that's a major discrepancy. That is disproportionate, and I think it's time to allow for a little bit more variety.
It is time to make sequel UCS sets. Guys, Starkiller Base UCS. Guys, Poe's X-Wing UCS. Guys, the bombers from The Last Jedi UCS. Luke's Tree UCS.
Honest to God.
The book that Rey steals and opens in Episode 9 UCS. Please, Lego, listen to me, alright? I think I'm ear-raping everyone right now, but I don't care.
Being dead serious, I actually agree with you. Because I think there have been so many original trilogy UCS sets that it needs to flip. 2/3 of UCS Lego Star Wars sets going forward should be prequel era or sequel era.
Guys, so a big issue I see with the UCS line, and I'm super biased towards the original trilogy, right? And I don't even buy these sets. But they're just kind of remaking the same thing twice. The Death Star, the Millennium Falcon, which the new Falcon is incredible, don't get me wrong. You have the new ISD, which is not that much different from the old one. You have the X-wing. You have, I think you have two snow speeders as well. It's just they're remaking stuff. I don't understand why they intend on retreading when they
I mean,
have when they
Tate,
have two
to
time
me,
periods full of lore and interesting things to pull from. It just doesn't make sense.
it was so bizarre because it was just so surprising to me because I figured that the TIE bomber would be the leading opponent of the Republic gunship because the TIE bomber does make sense
Yeah.
as a UCS set. But this bizarre love for such a hideous looking ship that literally looks like a piece of garbage shrapnel floating through space. It has almost little to no features to offer besides sticking a Millennium Falcon on the bottom of it. I mean, it's a terrible design, and unless you have some nostalgia from the 80s when you were sitting there with your dad watching the movies for the first time, or I don't know, it's like unless you have some personal link to the Nebulon frigate, I genuinely don't see why that needs to be made as a UCS set. Period. It's just not even as a display model. It's hideous. Even in Lego, it's just hideous. It's not nice to look at. It's not really that recognizable for a lot of people. And the reason I'm passionate and fired up about this as well, and why I made a funny, satire video about it when this was going down, was, I mean, because we are the collectors that these sets are marketed to. These sets are literally designed for our demographic. We're not just talking about the retail sets here. These are sets literally geared towards us. So, yeah, I'm really glad their whole gunship prevailed. I think it's time to ditch the original trilogy purism. It's time to let more prequel era and sequel era UCS sets get made. And I am excited for what the summer and fall waves of Lego Star Wars bring for the retail side of things, because there's a General Grievous Starfighter coming out and a rumored 2 or 3 Clone Wars era sets. Hopefully, one of those will be to celebrate the series finale. Still with me, Tate?
Yeah. I'm here in spirit.
Well, you somehow mustered enough spirit to go and watch Sonic.
Oh my gosh. Okay, can we talk about this? I
You
mean,
can.
we are going to, but that was rhetorical. Sonic, guys, I'm gonna just say this right now. It's genuinely good. I don't
Yeah.
know how. I don't know why. So, okay, I went into this movie expecting it to be awful. I expected it to be, just a panderfest to little kids. Because that's what every kid's movie is nowadays. This is a family movie with a lot of heart. So I watched the Smurf movie like 3 years ago, and I watched another kids movie with the CGI character and then the human character, and all of them are just complete panderfests. Right? Now I watch
Right.
these movies with little kids. I didn't watch Sonic with a little kid. I genuinely wanted to see Sonic and laugh at the movie the whole time because I expected it to be horrible. But those other movies, they just make poop jokes and fart jokes, and and it's just this pander fest that makes little kids laugh, which is selling tickets. This movie, so Sonic, has a lot of heart. Genuinely, I'm watching this movie saying through the entire thing, I'm there with my friend Garrett. I'm just saying this movie's not that bad. Oh my god, it's not that bad. I'm watching the movie and I'm realizing, I'm like, holy crap, it's not only is it not bad, it's good. The Sonic movie is good. It's like a 7 or 8 out of 10 by my standard. You have a few conveniences through story, but it's okay. Story convenience is okay for a kids movie, right? This isn't trying to be a cinematic thrill ride where the story is taking leaps and turns at every stop, right? It's just a movie that genuinely has heart, that does not pander to kids, that has genuinely funny jokes. There are a lot of cringy things to laugh at, but there are also a lot of unironically funny things in this movie. Sonic doesn't get annoying. He doesn't get annoying. I don't know how, right? The human characters, they get a little bit more time than they should in the beginning, but they're not horrible. I'm watching this movie and I'm like, holy crap, this is better than Detective Pikachu. This is better than which I regard as a good kids movie. It has a far better story than Detective Pikachu, far better pacing, far more entertaining. If we get more kids movies like this, this is the quality I expect from kids movies. This kind of reminds me of the good old days. You remember the Jim Carrey Grinch movie and the Mike Myers Cat in the Hat movie and movies like that, where they're genuinely entertaining to watch if you're an adult, but they also have a lot of things that kids enjoy. Now, this is more so a kids movie than it is a family movie like those two movies, because there's a lot of jokes, and especially Mike Myers Cat in the Hat, that you only hit if you're of age. But I was shocked that this movie is as good as it is. I cannot recommend it more. It's extremely inoffensive, extremely simple, but it's good. It's entertaining. Do anything it doesn't do anything controversial. It doesn't do anything pandery. It's just a good kid. It's a good kids movie, and I wish more kids movies were like this. It's in the same vein as something like Toy Story, where Toy Story is predominantly for kids, but it's still genuinely entertaining if you're an adult. I was so shocked.
And that's really good to hear. I mean, I wasn't going to check it out before hearing about this because, of course, and speaking of controversy, the film underwent massive changes last year when they debuted the first trailer that revealed the, quite frankly, horrific character model for Sonic, which just looked horrendous.
So right.
I mean,
So
it was,
speaking of which, sorry to cut you off, Ross, but
yeah,
I want to see this movie with because Sonic is very cute in this movie. The design is very good. The new design. I want to see him with the first design and see if the movie is still as good. Because a
I
lot of
doubt it
a
because I
lot
think it would be distracting.
I think it would be extremely distracting, disorienting. Because I mean, the Sonic design that they went with the second time around, much like Detective Pikachu, very inoffensive. Very
Right.
inoffensive. Very. I mean, this is just about how I want Sonic to look. I'm a huge Sonic fan, by the way. Not a huge Sonic fan, but I love the first three games. I love Sonic Mania. The 3D Sonic never really interested me. I played it growing up, but in my later years, it's uninteresting. Um, and that's just for context. But this is how I'd want Sonic to look. It's great, I think.
Yeah, and all the animators did a lot of work going back and redoing it. Everybody who reworked the CG for him all throughout the film, and I believe that the effects studio got shut down shortly after, or there were
That's a shame.
massive layoffs just after. Something happened after they completed the rework of Sonic, and it is a shame because I mean it really looks like they found success here, and I'm looking forward to it. Not even as a Sonic fan, because I think I've mentioned it a few times on the show, but the arcade characters in that entire genre,
Passed you by.
Nintendo, Sonic, completely passed me by. It was not a part of my childhood. Of course, I'm familiar with a bulk, with a good, variety of those characters, but I don't know anything about Sonic other than he's blue and he runs fast. That's all I've ever known about Sonic. And I've heard from a few people that it may not be as enjoyable if you're not a Sonic fan.
Now that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true.
Because if
There
that's the
are a
case, then I
lot.
would still reconsider. I would still consider not going if it's not really designed for general
No.
audiences
So
at all.
the reason they're saying that is because there are a few things like if you're a Sonic fan, you're like, oh, that's clever. Oh, that's clever. Or oh, yeah, that's how that would happen, right?
Yeah, or how this that's how this would look live action from the original game.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's not distracting though. It's not distracting. It's not gonna ruin your film experience. It's not. Um, there's a lot of iconography that you will enjoy even if you're just seeing it. Like Sonic's signature move is the spin dash, which is when he rolls into a ball, spins in place, and then launches forward.
Right.
Um, they do that in the movie, and like my buddy Garrett didn't really see it right away, and I was like, "Oh, dude, he just spin dashed! Like, how rad is that?" Um, and for me as a Sonic fan, it's cool, and then for somebody who's not, it's entertaining to watch him perform these action moves. Um, Something I want to say is this movie's very self-aware, very self-aware. Sonic is almost a Deadpool type character in this movie, with his visual gags, which is good. You know, he should be. He's a cartoon character. So they're really embracing that Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that Deadpool, very self-aware thing. And this movie straight up I don't know how they did it, but tastefully showed the gotta go fast meme, the Sonic gotta go fast meme, tastefully. This movie embraced the memes tastefully. How is that even possible?
Yeah,
Is
it didn't
that even
feel it. Yeah, that's cool.
is that even possible for a studio to embrace a meme and not come off as cringe? I mean,
Yeah, actually stick the landing.
they actually. I mean, it's a 2 second clip. It's like literally like not even a second. But if you see it, you can't unsee it. Russ, you want me to just kind of spoil that right now because I don't think you'll get it. And
Yeah, I don't. I honestly couldn't care less about spoilers for this one.
yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna go for this. There's a so Sonic the
Spoiler
town.
warning, though, for anyone who does.
Right, these are very light, and this is like the
Sure.
first 10 minutes of the movie. The town that Sonic is in the movie is called Green Hills. The
Hmm.
first stage of Sonic is the Green Hills zone. So already there's a connection. But anyway, so they're in Green Hills, and Sonic is kind of living there, and nobody's ever seen him really. But there's a crazy guy who calls him the Blue Devil who's seen trace sights of him, and everybody thinks he's a cryptid like Bigfoot, right? And that this guy's just crazy. But he has a drawing, a sketch that he's showing people, and it's the gotta go fast meme.
I
Do you know the gotta go fast meme, Ross?
do.
Yeah, and it's that drawn on a piece of paper. And he's like, "Look, this is him," and then it just cuts away. Doesn't linger, just shows it, cuts away, and it was that's tastefully done in my opinion. I think that's
Subtle
great.
too.
It's super subtle, super subtle. I was like, "Holy crap, that's the gotta go fast meme," and that's kind of I don't know. This movie does everything it needs to correctly. I think this movie. I didn't like Jim Carrey's character that much. I just didn't grasp onto it. The main guy, played by James Marsden, he's given a little bit too much build up in the beginning, but the movie has a lot of heart. It's very inoffensive. It's not the greatest movie ever made. You know, the dialogue's very simple. It's made for kids, but I liked
This
it.
is the type of film, man, that kids are going to go see and then remember fondly when they're 20.
I hope
And
so. I hope this film doesn't just disappear.
I think that's cool, and I think that's yeah. I mean, I think that's also all film needs to do, and you may not even need a sequel. Just a one-off, solid um, portrayal of the character for once in a world and an industry where the stereotype is against video game adaptations, and usually these things don't work out, especially when you have to redo the majority of the film because there's a massive controversy surrounding it. It really felt like, okay, so this film's going to suck no matter what they do. It's just going to be damage control, and that's it. That'll be the story of this movie. Moving on, it's not going to look good whenever it comes out. And to see the complete, to see the contrary of that actually be the case has been cool, man, because it looks like a fun film. Now, I'm going to go see 1917. I'm going to watch The Irishman and Knives Out. A few other things before I get around to Sonic and Birds of Whatever,
Well, let
but
me touch on each of
um,
those because I've
yeah.
I've kind of seen all the Oscar movies this year, all the movies that came out in the last couple months. It's been a great year for film though. 2019, really strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strong films. 1917, great film. It's gonna be forgotten. It's gonna, kind of go by the wayside. Unlike, Dunkirk was very culturally relevant at the time, but 1917 is gonna go by the wayside, even though it's cinematically, it's an awe to watch. It is such from a cinematography standpoint, it is an eyegasm. I mean, oh my
Mm.
gosh, it's special. Knives Out takes itself way too damn seriously. I didn't enjoy it as much as I know a lot of people did. It's entertaining. It does not deserve a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is ridiculous. And then The Irishman. It's a Scorsese movie. It's good. It's fine. I mean,
Spent
it's
9
genuinely
years
good.
trying to get it made.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but once you've seen a couple Scorsese movies, you've seen them all. You know what I mean? He's just not reinventing the genre, and that's okay. That is okay. Um, and then another movie I want to bring up, complete sleeper hit. Well, two sleeper hits in my opinion. Doctor Sleep. great movie, marketed terribly, received okay. I thought it was great. I thought it was a natural, continuing of the Shining. I thought that it was genuinely interesting. Ewan McGregor's great in the movie. Really enjoyed Doctor Sleep. It's not cinema grace, right? It's not high cinema. It's not something that's golden
High
and
cinema.
loved.
Hey, are you cinema? Are you high cinema? Is this podcast cinema? What is cinema? Are you causing the death of
Anyway,
cinema by enjoying other cinema? What is cinema?
anyway, but yeah, Doctor Sleep is good. It's good. I would say maybe great, but it's not a phenomenal movie. And then Jojo Rabbit, phenomenal movie. Oh my gosh, I was surprised. Every joke in that movie hits. It's paced very well. It has a lot of heart. Very good family movie. Taika Waititi, when he has a project where there is no emotional connection, not emotional connection, but when there is no prior connection to the characters, when he is able to just write a story with new characters, he knocks it out of the park, right? I think that Thor Ragnarok wasn't very strong in terms of the characterizations.
Not at
Maybe
all.
with different characters, Thor Ragnarok would have been great. And then that episode of The Mandalorian, I like that episode now. I like it a lot more than I used to. I rewatched it a couple times, and I'm like, holy crap, that's really good. The action really
Yeah.
hits. But there are a couple of things like the scout troopers in the beginning don't like him. A couple of awkward things throughout, littered throughout. That's his style touching. His style is hitting Star Wars characters, and it just feels weird to me. Because it's very particular. But
Sure.
Jojo Rabbit is my favorite Taika Waititi project by far. He knocked it out of the park with that one. I mean, every joke is so subtle and it just fits. He's just making fun of Nazis by truthfully showing how they lived day to day. How wonderful is that? But yeah, cinema in 2019 was great. And now opening 2020 with Sonic and what else has come out in 2020? I don't even know. But Sonic was a good movie. Sonic was good. It has a lot of heart. Birds of Prey was good. I didn't see it, but that was well received. It's looking like it's going to be another good couple months of cinema, and hopefully we'll get another 2019. We'll get you know another batch of really good movies in the fall because
Oh yeah, man.
the more good movies, the better. I mean, no complaints there. But to wrap up the show today,
Wrap up the show. We haven't even talked about Star Wars: The Clone
no,
Wars.
to wrap up the show, we're going to talk about Clone Wars.
Okay. All right. Tate. It was a pretty emotional day. January, whatever, I believe it was like the 21st, the 22nd, just before we went on our mini hiatus, when my buddy Corey tells me that the next Clone Wars trailer is coming. It's edited, it's cut. Sam Witwer said so. And I was like, okay, cool, so we'll see it in like a week. No, we woke up to it the next day. Woke up, checked my YouTube app, and it was right there on my recommended. I was like, whoa! And I was not prepared for that. Because again, as someone who not only overthinks everything in life, but is also incredibly sentimental, as you just heard when I was discussing Batman or the things that have inspired me all these years. But you can bet your ass I did not even know how to process watching the final trailer for the series that started everything for me, that propelled me into all of this as a kid at 9 years old. And the Clone Wars went on to be, in my opinion, the greatest animated series of all time. That is completely subjective. I could not care less. It's the truth to me. And I have to say, it was incredible for a trailer that was cut together by Disney, and not really Lucasfilm or any of those guys. It was just really well done. The soundtrack in it was phenomenal, and they show quite a bit in that trailer.
Oh yeah, we get a piece of every episode. It looks like.
Because there will be 12 episodes in this final season
Is it 3 arcs
of
or
the Clone
4
Wars.
arcs? It's 4 arcs, right?
It's four.
Yeah.
So you have Bad Batch, then
The
you
filler
have the
one,
art
right?
right. You have the one with Ahsoka on Coruscant, and then Siege of Mandalore as the series finale arc. And this entire trailer just really blew me away. I mean, there was so much in here that they didn't even come close to showing us when we were in the room in Chicago or anything. I mean, all these shots that we've seen now animated from the Bad Batch arc, where the Jedi are no longer wearing armor, surrounded by battle droids with the 212th Attack Battalion and ARC Trooper Jesse. I mean, I'm very excited to see all of that. I'm working on a custom figure, an action figure of ARC Trooper Jesse right now. But just Maul opening his eyes from that shot we saw Dave Filoni post on Instagram some months ago. But the overall foreboding tone of the trailer, as it is obviously trying to link us right into Revenge of the Sith, is just so well done. Maul saying soon, the galaxy, the Republic will die. And it's great, man, because then it cuts to a variety of different things, but namely a shot inside the Jedi Temple. And this shot that we see in the trailer, and of course you can pull up the trailer to look at yourself if we don't have it up here. You have a shot where Mace Windu and Yoda are in the Jedi Temple at the Hollow Table, and you have Windu saying, "I sent a plot to destroy the Jedi," and Yoda is saying, "Careful, we must be." And it's paraphrasing there, but it's really well done, but also confusing because even though I was so excited to see Commander Bly in his Phase 2 armor animated, which I never thought we would get. Commander Bly, I thought for the Clone Wars was one and done all the way back in Season 1, and then Ayla would forever just be a background character that just showed up here or there. But seeing them all at the War Room table, at the Plo Koon in his new Revenge of the Sith robes, Ki-Adi-Mundi and Commander Bakara, like I said, and then also the addition of Caleb Doom and his master Depa Billaba. I mean, really, really cool. I mean, just that single shot, so much to unpack there, but it also brings up the question of, as we move into the final season of Star Wars, The Clone Wars, how direct are we going to get here with the links to Revenge of the Sith? Because Tate and I I know I've also discussed this with Corey from First Order Transmissions, but just wondering, what is this going to look like? Are they literally just going to recreate scenes from Revenge of the Sith now, adding in new characters for context? Which I'm, to be honest with you, I'm not okay with, and I'm not. I've never been okay with that. When you're making new canon material that exists in and around the films, your material should be in and around the films. It's always been that way, and it should stay that way. Overwriting
Oh,
scenes with
Ross,
new versions from
you're supposed to
live
rewrite
action
everything,
material,
man.
I think, is weird.
You're supposed to rewrite everything. I mean,
No.
don't you know that the prequels are decanonized and that Disney's just
Let's.
rewriting them?
Oh man, if that were ever the case, I would be out the door so fast, and I'm already half out the door even right now.
Dude, I'm on the other side, like pulling Ross
I know
in. I
you
have a
are.
rope attached to his waist, and I'm like, dude, just stop caring. Just stop caring. It's so much easier when you don't care.
um, but yeah, you've got so much in this trailer. Namely, another thing too, um, where you have the Siege of Mandalore going on. You see Mandalorians and clones in the main city fighting in Sundari, which looks incredible. Of course, downed Republic gunships. It looks phenomenal. But you also seem to have this sequence, which I talked about a lot when the trailer first came out, of Ahsoka on board a Venator with Rex, saying we're peacekeepers, not soldiers, questioning the Jedi's role in the waning hours of the Clone Wars here, because of course that was Palpatine's entire plot and scheme from the beginning, to capitalize on the hypocrisy of the Jedi and slowly coax them into looking like warmongers to the public. And that's exactly what happens in Revenge of the Sith as his grand plan culminates. And you see that, of course, now being reflected here. But while she's on the Venator, on the bridge, you see another shot also from that scene where she seemingly feels something in her head, so she feels a tremor in the Force. I think that's when she feels Order 66. And there are also other shots, like at the end of the trailer, the final shot of the trailer, Ahsoka is in a room. She's in one of the main rooms of the Venator with Rex, getting up. and then the doors are closing, seemingly like they're barricading themselves inside. And it's not a reverse shot because Rex would not be getting down; he's getting up with the door closing.
Wouldn't it be a
So
shame? Oh, I mean, wouldn't it? Isn't it a shame that their fates have already been written in a canon? Because think about how tense it would be
right,
if you don't know if Ahsoka and Rex are going to survive this.
right,
If you don't know what's going to happen here,
100%.
or best case scenario for me, have them both get slaughtered. Have them both get slaughtered by the 501st, or by, what is it, the 322nd, which is her clones, right? The
Yeah.
ones with the orange helmets. But imagine how that would have hit the audiences. The last episode of the Clone Wars, you see Rex and Ahsoka, the two fan favorite characters, just get gunned down.
I personally think, I mean, that would be compelling if Rex goes down fighting his own. I mean, it would be incredibly dark and really horrible. But
And it
a
would
lot of
make
people
sense.
are quick to dismiss ideas like that, and a lot of people are.
Right, that's true.
And I've given my spiel on this show at least 2 or 3 times, and I've said it to you many times, Tate. Just that I think what would have made the most sense for the story, as horrible as it is, but again, with Revenge of the Sith, you are entering the dark times, the worst moments in galactic history since the Old Republic. And
it's been written that there were only so many Jedi at the time of
right.
Luke. You know, old canon, Legends did a lot after Order 66. There were a lot of Jedi running around after Order 66.
Oh yeah, got that.
But when Luke was sitting there with Yoda, it was just him. Luke was the last Jedi. Vader actually killed Jedi during that 20-year gap.
But kind of like dialing it back to the Clone Wars era, man, like you got this great character and this beloved character. Ahsoka is my 3rd favorite character of all time, period. I mean, I grew up with Ahsoka throughout this series and throughout my entire life since I was 9. Ultimately, what I believe made the most sense for the story and explain why the Jedi speak of Ahsoka is if, because of their failings with her, nearly allowing her to be executed by the Senate for a crime she didn't commit when she had committed her whole life to the Jedi and serving the galaxy and doing good for others and being kind, and to then have her go out and be killed, likely by a plot orchestrated by Palpatine to further Anakin's fall to the dark side, it would make sense why Anakin doesn't even talk about it and the Jedi don't even talk about it, because it is their greatest failure. Ahsoka Tano was their greatest failure, and none of them can even believe it even happened, and they dare not even speak of it because it was just so horrible that it even happened.
Yeah.
That is the most natural conclusion to Ahsoka's story. It's not nice, but again, it's dark because you are entering the dark times with Revenge of the Sith. That 100%. Is what the film does, and that is what it's not open for debate. No. The galaxy enters a 20-year darkness, beginning with the end of the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, and it's not nice, but I certainly would hate to see that happen to Ahsoka, but it is, if you ask me, that would have been the most natural way to conclude her story. But on the flip side, I also do like that her story is the antithesis of Anakin's. She survives all of it. She survives being betrayed by those around her. She survives basically a complete existential crisis in who she is and who she is in the galaxy, and then goes on to fight for people's freedom, despite hers always being threatened by either those around her or the Empire. And I think that's great because she was able to overcome her personal struggles, whereas Anakin was not until he was on that boarding ramp dying. So back to your point, Tate, it is a shame that now, over 6 years later, we're coming back here, and because back then Dave Filoni and crew did not know if the Clone Wars would ever get its final season, well, then we might as well just say that, yeah, they survive. And we've known that since 2014, 15. They didn't think the series was going to come back. None of us thought this was ever going to happen, which is why this is still just all such a gift and just so amazing that this is even happening at all, and that Disney Plus finally canned Star Wars Rebels and Resistance and gave the funding over to this final season for Disney Plus, promote Disney Plus, and also satisfy all the fans. And this is the one thing that I think Disney has done that is just right. It's not up for debate. It's just the
Well,
right
this
thing.
and the Mandalorian,
This and the
it's
Mandalorian,
yeah.
sure. So the animation looks incredible. The trailer looks incredible. Sam Witwer really sounds like he's giving his all as his performance as Maul. Again, did not mean for that to rhyme, but whereas in Rebels, it just very much felt like Sam Witwer was just kind of there, just kind of being Sam Witwer, just kind of voicing Maul just because he was asked to. Whereas every time, man, you hear Sam Witwer playing Maul, it's just incredible. I mean, and the final shot when Ahsoka is facing off against Maul in the throne room on Mandalore. The animation for Maul just looks so incredible, and Ahsoka just looks so clear and crisp. And I mean, the way I feel like I can describe the Clone Wars animation now is it very much feels like Sonic or Detective Pikachu in the way that these CG characters and the environments look so good that it almost looks like you could have these CG characters walking around in real life in something akin to Sonic or Detective Pikachu. They just look so good, if that makes sense. It's very hard to describe. It's kind of a silly analogy to make, but it's the
Ross,
animation is just now so incredible.
you kind of sound like an idiot right now. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't care what you think, Tate. I really don't. No, but seriously, it really does. I mean, like the animation is just insane. Um, but yeah, I mean, so back to what I was saying earlier before Tate totally made me lose track of what I was saying. Um, it would be really cool if Ahsoka and Rex are barricading themselves inside that command center while Order 66 is going down. Because how cool of a concept is that? Because I think originally at one of the celebrations at I think it was Celebration 2014, 15, 16, one of those three, when Dave Filoni said that, yeah, Order 66 was going to happen during Maul and Ahsoka's fight, and that kind of interrupts their fight, and Maul is able to get away. Now, that to me is the most natural conclusion to their fight. I don't know how. I would really hope that if Ahsoka is able to defeat Maul, that she does it with the help of Rex and the 501st. That makes the most sense to me. Um, because, of course, the 501st know how to handle Force users. But also, imagine that concept take, because there's a lot of evidence in the trailer that points to it. You have Ahsoka feeling the tremor in the Force. You have Ahsoka and Rex barricading themselves inside the command room. And you have Maul fighting clones without his lightsaber running through the Venator. And you have Maul grabbing Jesse when Jesse is seemingly totally out of it and having lost it with his inhibitor chip going off, seemingly trying to probe him for information. It really looks like it was changed that Order 66 could go down while they're all stuck on a Venator in hyperspace. And that is a scary concept. It's really cool. Of course, we know both Rex and Ahsoka survive, but I love that idea in comparison to it just happening down in the streets of Sundari toward the end of the battle. So anyway, it's really all I have to say about the Clone Wars. Of course, it's coming back with its first episode. The first episode in the 4 episode story arc for Bad Batch is dropping this Thursday at like 3 a.m., which is crazy. And it really feels like time has just flown by since the original announcement in 2018 when Dave Filoni gave us all the thumbs up that they were working on the final season. They got the funding from Disney. They were going to put it on their new streaming service whenever that would come. And here we are, 2 weeks in to 2020, almost arriving at the very beginning of what is going to be the final season of Star Wars The Clone Wars. And Tate, that is it. That is all I have to say. I cannot wait. We'll be talking about it every
Is it
week
my turn to
here.
talk? Do I
We'll
get
be talking about it every week here on Outer Regions. But
do I
yeah,
get to talk now, Ross?
I think you do.
Um, I think that well, hmm,
Hmm.
hmm. I think that,
Hmm.
well, I think that,
Tate
I
just turned into a
think,
Minecraft villager.
I
Why does
think,
that sound like it's ripped from the game?
I think that Clone Wars coming back is great. I'm excited, and I will be watching right along with Ross. We will have weekly reviews like we did with The Mandalorian. And yeah, it's exciting. It's cool. It's very nice. I don't have as much of an opinion as Ross does. That's all. That's all from
You
me.
don't live for this shit like I do.
I know. I live for less pop culture things.
Hmm.
All right, Ross. Well, that should do it for today's episode. You feeling satisfied with the topics we covered?
I think it went pretty well, man, and I appreciate everybody sticking with us, even though, of course, we're not doing it live at
Right.
the moment. But we look forward to doing other live content at some point whenever we remember to do so.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you guys for sticking with us despite the hiatus, and we will be back with another episode of Cringe Fest hopefully this week.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
we
so
shall see. It's going to be a busy week until Thursday,
yeah. So
but
so
yeah.
for me, I mean, I'm not doing much this week besides work. Um, but yeah,
All
you
right.
will get a live stream. Maybe, maybe you will. I don't know. We're so bad about this. Our
We
schedule's just non-existent. But yeah, that'll do it. Any closing thoughts?
are. No, I think I've talked my head off for this last uh, hour or so. It's been great.
All right, dude. Well, that should do it. Go watch Sonic. It's worth watching. That's it. Remember, tip your waitresses, help old ladies cross the street, and donate to your favorite charity. That'll do it for today's episode. And guys, remember, this is the way.
This is the way.
Adios.